right. It is a Monday morning. Good morning. Hope you're doing well. It's decent, nice outside. Yesterday it was breezy in the evening in South Texas, and today we're actually at about 70 degrees in the morning. So we're enjoying the morning, getting things done, see what needs to be done, and moving forward, we're going to see if we can get through the work week, start of a work week. Today, the topic that we're going to be discussing is what do you do when you feel overwhelmed at work, right? Feeling overwhelmed. You ever felt that way? It's like just things getting piled up on you. So we're looking at an article by the name of Survival Tactics for When You Feel Overwhelmed at Work by Patti Johnson. And it's got some good tips. It starts with something we pretty much all, if you've been working for a while, have felt at probably some point in time. Work can be stressful and overwhelming, even in jobs we love, right? It's true. And it says add in personal pressures and work challenges can feel much bigger than they really are because you're already shouldering the stress of the personal pressures. It says we can pretend that our professional and personal lives are in two distinct compartments. But life doesn't work that way. We're one person, and work and personal always overlap. Says in our families and at work, people always look to the most competent person to get things done. The busiest and those with the greatest responsibilities are the ones asked or expected to take on more. Have you seen that? Have you been that? Right? And says they are people you can count on. Sure, we all have unique personal and professional issues that are just a part of life. They're as different as each of us, but at some level, they all affect how we feel, show up, and work. When you feel overwhelmed at work, and there are also personal stresses you can't ignore, these strategies can help you manage. Here we go. Number one, decide what must be done today and this week. It can be overwhelming to think about everything that needs to be done in the months ahead. Don't. This all at once thinking can make us feel like it's more than we can do. It's like you can clear out, and I've heard this twice, I think, in the last 2 days. It's like, how do you eat an elephant? One bite at a time, right? And it just fits with what we're talking about today. Says this all at once thinking can make us feel like it's more than we can do. Instead, think very short term. Think today. Think this week. Write down due dates or block work time for future needs and let them go for now, right? That's something you're going to do in the future. And even when you're thinking about today, break it down even smaller. Says breaking down everything into what must be tackled in the very short term. You've got some major work and personal matters in the future. Thinking short term helps lift the burden. And I'm kind of paraphrasing a little bit on the article because they're talking about a specific person that they were dealing with. So decide what must be done today and this week as part of the larger project of what needs to be done. It's almost like planning for an event. Like, for example, I had an event that we need to coordinate a site, the tenting, the chairs and tables, the organizations that were going to be involved, which was in the multiple dozens, the personnel that was going to be involved, supplies, all that. So you had everything needed to be done, and if you said get this done, and you try to do everything at once, it would be nearly impossible, or at least maybe not impossible, at least overwhelming. So you focus one thing at a time. What needs to be done, first, right? So decide what must be done today and this week. That's number one. Number two, and we are talking about survival tactics for when you feel overwhelmed, right? It's survival tactics for when you feel overwhelmed at work. Number two, know the best use of your time right now. My mother-in-law led workshops for caregivers of Alzheimer patients, the article says, and she relied on this essential question, which you should ask yourself each day. It works not only for caregivers, but also for those of us with busy, stressful lives. What is the best use of my time right now? All of us can feel overwhelmed, like there's so much to do, it seems insurmountable. When you ask what the best use of your time is at this moment, it can help give you clarity and focus. And she says, as a mom of a graduating senior, I make decisions this year to spend my time differently before my son leaves for college. My take on the best use of my time right now, right? That's what she's dealing with in that one particular situation. That's not even having to do with work. That's personal, right? They're not in separate compartments. A lot of times they overlap. So know the best use of your time right now to help with the feeling of being overwhelmed. Number 3, this is a good one. And sometimes it's difficult because of how people are wired. Don't be the hero. Let others help. If you are the go-to person at work and in your family, don't overdo with self-reliance. Stop and ask, what am I doing now that someone else could do or at least help with? Now for the hard part, ask them to help and then let them. You can't lessen your responsibilities while also being the hero. That self-reliance and that almost borders on I have to do it or it can't be done, period. Not that it can't be done right or can't be done well. More of a I have to do it because otherwise it won't be done right. Don't be the hero. Let others help. Delegate if you can delegate. I mean, review it, right? But delegate. And especially who you're delegating to, that's also crucial. That's why you ask, what am I doing now that someone else could do or at least help with, right? Don't just toss it to anybody, by the way, because then it's like, man, now you have to fix that. Uh-oh, am I showing something? All right, number 4. Remember what you can control and influence and what you can't. We spend so much energy on parts of life that we just can't change. Make a list of what is in your control and influence. Decide how to spend your time and energy here and set aside the rest. Focus on where you can have an impact. There are a few crucial things that you can control. Your energy, your activity, and your attitude are 3 of them. Your energy, your activity, and your attitude are 3 of the things you can control. You can control and influence. There are certain things that you can't control. For example, somebody else's activity, somebody else's attitude, somebody else's energy. You can't really control that. You can try and motivate them. You can try and set an example. You can provide mentorship. You can provide guidance, but you can't control that. We're all individuals. Talking about survival tactics for when you feel overwhelmed at work. And number 4 is remember what you can control and influence and what you can't. All right. Number 5. This is super important. Number 5. Put yourself first. It seems like common sense. Put yourself first. But how often do you do it? Lower the stress of life with healthy choices. This is very individualized. For you, it could be anything from a yoga class or walking to office culture or your daily schedule. And the article says one of my clients shared that in her quest to catch up in her demanding job, she had gradually slipped into working every night and on most weekend days, so there was no time off. Yet it was only making her feel overwhelmed and what? Anxious. And what is feeling overwhelmed and anxious going to do to you mentally, physically, spiritually, emotionally? Once she realized that her list of to-dos would be endless no matter how much she worked, because that's how it works, We came up with ways to take her life back, and there's a link to an article there, 7 ways to reclaim your day. So even within this article, which I'm going to share the link right now, let me see here. There's other resources that you can take advantage of. Okay, so I'm going to share that link right now to this article, the survival tactics. So put yourself first. She delegated more, renegotiated priorities with her boss, and changed her schedule. She decided to work late one night each week, start really early one other day, and then set boundaries for herself on the other days. She also added back time to take walks, putting yourself first. If you allow yourself to burn yourself out, very few people will stop you, because a lot of time it's things that you're doing outside of the public eye. It's outside of the regular work hours, outside of what's expected of you. But you have to put yourself first. You need to be here for the long run, right? And don't get overwhelmed for the short-term gains. Number 6, talk to a good listener. We often have answers to our problems, but we have to let them out. Talk to someone who can ask you the right questions or offer a new perspective. Go see a professional if you need more. It can make a big difference. The article continues. I spoke to a good friend recently, sharing some of my frustrations. She asked questions and then listened to me. And it's funny because on Wednesday, I believe I'm going to be talking about being that person that listens to others. That's going to be an interesting one. So she asked questions and then listened to me, and I felt so much better. I thanked her for helping me. She reminded me that she just asked the right questions. But more importantly, out of all this, in this particular one, number 6, talk to a good listener. The most important thing in that is talk. Vocalize what your problem is. That way you can pinpoint what you feel the issue is with what you're dealing with. Write it down. Analyze it. Discuss it. And figure out the answer to the problem. But get it out. Keeping it inside is probably not going to do you any good. And I'm in no way, shape, or form licensed or educated as a counselor or anything. This is just me discussing this article. That's it. Not a professional, right? Number 7, again, survival tactics for when you feel overwhelmed at work. Ask yourself if it will matter in 3 days, 3 months, or 3 years. There are variations in this question. The point is that when you are really frustrated, stop and consider how much it really matters. Will it matter in 3 days? If not, then it's probably not worth spending any more time on it. Find a quick resolution and let it go. Will it matter in 3 months? If yes, this indicates importance and longer-term impact. So it's probably worth a time investment, right? Will it matter in 3 years? If yes, then it is essential in your life and deserves special attention. These are usually the big ones: relationship, happiness, and work that makes a difference. Make time for these because they rarely show up as urgent items on your to-do list. Your relationships, your happiness, and work that makes a difference. Why? Because you're doing a lot of times some menial stuff. Better get those TPS reports. Got a new cover letter. If work seems overwhelming, lift up, back up, take another look. Is the frustration temporary? What can you do for yourself? It may be everything from being kinder to yourself, managing your time differently, or even changing jobs or going into business for yourself. Be your own greatest advocate starting today. If you aren't, who will be? 7 survival tactics for when you feel overwhelmed at work. Number 1, decide what must be done today and this week. Number 2, know the best use of your time right now. Number 3, don't be the hero. Let others help. Number 4, remember what you can control and influence and what you can't. Number 5, put yourself first. Number 6, talk to a good listener. And number 7, ask yourself if it will matter in 3 days, 3 months, or 3 years. The article is by Patti Johnson on success.com, Success Magazine's website. The link is in the comments section. Thank you so much for joining me today to get this content. You know what I mean? All of these videos that I do Monday, Wednesday, and Friday usually are available on my YouTube channel. Do a search for AlgaeMan1, ALGAEMAN, number 1, AlgaeMan1, and all these videos are there. I want to share this type of positive content, this type of content that gets you thinking, that hopefully changes your life for the better, changes your life in a positive way. And let's get this out to as many people as possible, right? I wish you a couple of things as we start the week today. Today on a Monday. I wish you peace of mind today because we're talking about feeling overwhelmed. I wish you moments of clarity and calm. So I wish you peace of mind, moments of clarity and calm, and I wish you joy, happiness, and success. That's what I wish for you today. Remember, knowledge is power, imagination is king, and intelligence your weapon. Read a good book today, enrich your mind, and above all else, take action. My name's Al Guevara, and I hope to be back on Wednesday around this time, around 8 a.m., hopefully. And that's the plan. So until then, we'll be talking.